This is the story how I built the social media team to launch Harry Potter World. Hey everybody, welcome back into another episode of Radical Content. Eric Gray, super excited. Got a really big show today. Lots are going on here at Maverick. We got some new swag. The team made me turn the hat around, so we're not backwards today. They wanted to show off the new swag. The team is growing. We got a new creative director. He's actually in the room right now, Alex Punch. He is a podcast veteran, and someday maybe he's going to be on this side, or we'll have to reconfigure, and we'll talk to him. But we got the whole team here today. John's here. Brittany's here. We got a couple interns. Steven's new to the team. And so lots of new fun stuff is happening at Maverick, and we're super pumped for today's show. But I really am excited about today's show. And so I want to talk about it first. You know, we got 3 segments generally. So today we got LinkedIn Scroll, our news and notes segment. We're going to knock that out first. Our featured segment is Real Life Tales. And today we're going to be talking about a really great topic. It is how we built the Social Media Engagement Center when we opened Diagon Alley. So I want to give a little shout out to my friends at Universal, who are recently opening a brand new theme park, and then we'll end it with content of the week. So a lot to get to. Let's dive right in. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome into LinkedIn Scroll. This is that segment that's news and notes. You know, I have such a fun benefit to be connected to a lot of really amazing directors of social media managers at giant brands. And so I just love kind of going through my feed and seeing what's going on in the world. And sometimes it's like news and notes. There's a lot going on right now with AI. There's a lot going on with a lot of the platforms. But today I wanted to talk specifically about one person, Amanda Mulligan, who's the director of social for McDonald's. I hope someone tags her. Can we tag her in something? I want her to see this podcast because she did something, and her team, I'm sure there's a large group of people this week that really connected with social media managers, with people that have ever worked in brands. And it was a bit of a love letter to social media managers. So I don't know if you've seen this story, but the McSnack wrap is back. Everybody, it's back 7/10/25. It comes back. And they did a little tease a few weeks ago to get people excited. So I wasn't aware of this. So, you know, sorry, Amanda. I every now and then I'm kind of like the 4 times a year I end up at McDonald's, and then maybe I pay for it. But when I do, I'm very happy. Love the Coke, love the fries. But I don't go a ton, so I'm not super connected to everything that's happening over there. But apparently the snack wrap is a big deal. Apparently the fans have been freaking out. They want it back. They've been losing their mind. John is nodding. You like the snack wrap? All right, so we got some fans in the room. I wasn't aware of this. I've been at brands that were like this. I remember when we got rid of Bill and Ted's show at Universal, the fans lost their mind. Like, it was a big deal. And so I know that fans are really great, but they're also very passionate. I know when the Mavericks lost Luka Doncic, as a fan of the Mavericks, that was a tough moment for the fans. Well, the fans of McDonald's apparently have been demanding to have the snack wrap back in so many ways. And what's funny is when you sit in a seat like this as a social media manager, you see the comments. You know it. You know the fandom, but sometimes you can't do anything about it. You're kind of crippled. You're in this seat. You know what they want. You're talking to leadership, but you've got a seat at the table, but it's also not the seat at the table, right? You're not deciding the menu. I think Amanda posted in this thread that she at one point has shared on social media that, like, the social media manager doesn't control the menu, as like a joke. But it's true, and that's the life that she lived out. And well, it's coming back. They heard it. The fans got their attention, and they decided to bring it back. And to bring it back, Amanda said some fun things to kind of tell people what they would do. But I wanted to read something to you. So if you go to the latest Instagram post that just launched 2 days ago, so this will air in a few weeks, but you can go back in time. And by the way, McDonald's socials off the chain, like some good stuff that I shared one of them with the team. So kudos to the whole team. They posted this thing that says McDonald's snack wrap and the date it's coming back. And it's a carousel, because we all know carousels work in social right now, right? So they're not dumb. It says, got emotional typing this. Snack wrap is back 7/10/25. And so if you go into the carousel, there's an actual letter here from Amanda, the person that runs the social account. Very few times do we get to, as people behind the channels, come out in front of the camera. And I thought this one was pretty genius and pretty touching. I want to read it, and I know this is going to take a little bit, but I want to read it because I think it's really important. I don't usually do this, and I didn't run this by Brian from Legal. Sorry, Brian. But I have something to say, not as McDonald's, but as the person behind the McDonald's account. I once posted social media managers don't control the menu. As much as I hated admitting that at the time, it's true. I even got a plaque made of it and put it on my desk. She did post that on LinkedIn, by the way. I also don't control the Bitcoin price, even though you think the McRib is responsible for it. I digress. Yes, I could post about the snack wrap, tease you with tweets like bring back, knowing exactly what you'd say, and even manifest for its return, but I couldn't bring it back. You know who could bring it back? You. You commented under every post. You made petitions. You asked for it to be back in the drive-thru. You tweeted every day for 100 days straight. You rallied. You organized, and I saw it all. Thanks to you, the snack wrap is back. I cheered you on from behind the scenes and made it my mission to never stop fighting for you. I made 486 decks on reasons why to bring the snack wrap back. By the way, that hits home for people that have ever been in big brands. Your endless comments, tweets, and posts were the fuel I needed to keep going. You created a movement so powerful that you finally won. I know it's cheesy, but I love my job. It's a privilege to interact with you every day and a responsibility I cherish. You make me laugh, sometimes cry, but not today. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Today I woke up with an even greater feeling of gratitude and pride because finally, after 9 years, I get to announce the day the snack wrap returns. I know I posted she kind of says 014. It was a teaser they did a few weeks ago. But I wanted to see if they could come back even sooner. So I asked the boss, and he said, okay, let's do it. It's the honor of my lifetime to finally say the snack wrap is back. In a weird way, I was getting kind of emotional as I read that. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I remember being in those seats. I don't know if I remember building those decks. I don't know if I remember trying to convince leadership. But what a cool story. And to really take you behind the scenes of what it's like to work in a brand. But also what a cool story of a way to announce this. Like she said it, I could do a bunch of stuff, but I think this like love letter from the person behind the account to the fans that are out there screaming for this every single day, I thought was really, really cool. A couple things for me that just stand out. This idea of McDonald's being bold to be different. If you go into the performance of this, I think a normal piece of content on their account is 1,000, 1,500 shares. This one had 104,000 shares. Now, obviously, it's not just because they let Amanda come from behind the camera, but I think that added to it. They were looking for a different way to tell a story, looking for a different way to break through. Everybody that makes a launch, even for one that has fans behind it, comes up with these like clever, kind of unique ways to tease and then to announce and then to let it go. And they said, you know what? What if we take this person that built 586 decks and we let her make the announcement? Super cool. Super cool. Congratulations to Amanda, the whole McDonald's team. That was the number one thing from my news feed today. A little bit of a longer LinkedIn scroll, but I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And Amanda, you inspired us all to keep going, to love your jobs, and to be creative. So appreciate it. Here we go. Let's spend a little bit of time in a brand new story I've not talked about at all, which is how we built the Social Media Engagement Center for Diagon Alley. Here we go. All right, here we go. Featured segment today is Real Life Tales. I love these because these are opportunities for me to pull back from my history of working at EA Sports, Clear Channel, Universal Parks, and a lot of big brands we've got the chance to work for, and to kind of go deep on a story and go deep on a topic. And this one is a way back for me at least. Maybe for our interns, they'll be like, yes, I was in middle school. So we're in 2014. What were you? What grade were you in, Marmal? Middle school. And Sophia, what grade were you in? She's like, I wasn't born yet. What? Probably middle school. All right, so great. Well, in 2014, we at Universal were planning to open the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley. And I was the director of social at the time. And it was new. My team was new with a small team. And I want to do this right now because it's a little bit of a nod to my buddies who just opened Epic Universe. So congratulations to them. It looked awesome on social. The announcements, the live streams. It was my first big launch to miss. And I loved everything they did. So as an ode to that, I thought, man, let's talk a little bit about probably my biggest moment at Universal Parks and what we did with Diagon Alley. So if I go back in time to this story, you got to imagine, Eric's getting into a new role. I just left EA Sports. I'd come into Universal Parks. We had a small team of two people, and I was talking to my boss, Chris Craner, still one of my closest friends. I got to send this link to him because he'll really enjoy this story. And I was kind of trying to say, like, social does not matter to this brand, right? Like if you go at that story about Amanda, like we're in there like pounding, building decks, telling people the importance of it. And social just didn't rank. We had two people that were inside of PR. We got reorged. How many people have gotten reorged inside of a social team because they don't actually know where you should go? Should you go to PR? Should you go to digital? Is there a whole social group? Right? Like I was a part of many of those moments where we went into a digital group with Chris. And Chris was the best leader. And I was like, look, we need something to change the culture around social. And I was putting stuff up on the board and had this big idea about being the first brand to have a live social media engagement center. At the time, we weren't interacting with guests on social. We weren't answering questions. That might seem commonplace to a lot of us today, but it wasn't back then. Disney wasn't doing it. Nobody was doing it. There was a few people. Marriott had kind of started getting it going, of a couple other big brands, but no theme park had done this. And Chris, I remember like looking at the whiteboard, he circled social media engagements and he pointed at it and he said, "This is the thing that will show people what we can do with social." And from that point forward, I was like, okay, let's go. We decided that we thought that what if we could launch this thing for the grand opening of Diagon Alley? That was a lot of pressure. I'm not going to lie. Like I was a little stressed. And while I was a former radio guy that was passionate about content and storytelling, I was still learning marketing. I was still learning how to build teams. I was definitely still learning community management. And I just didn't know what I didn't know. And so I did something that I would recommend people to do in their career when they can. But I was like, well, how do I figure this out? Well, I saw that someone on my LinkedIn was working at an agency and they were hosting a social media engagement center for this run, a big like 5K, 10K weekend at Pittsburgh. And I emailed him and I was like, hey, man, can I come volunteer? That was it. Can I come volunteer? Can I get in the stacks? Can I listen to people, respond to people? Because I was like, I know we've got to build this thing out and I don't know how. How do I get that knowledge and information? And so he said yes, and I went up to Pittsburgh, and man, it was so cool. By the way, been to Pittsburgh, was there for the whole 5K, was in there when they were building the platform. They used Adobe Social. That's a throwback for some people that have been in social for a while. Doesn't exist anymore. Thank God. It was the worst tool ever. Sorry, Adobe, if you were a sponsor or thinking about it. But it worked, and we built out these listening stacks. We had these keywords. Like I was like, man, this is so cool. And I literally learned it all for 2.5 days. It was a crash course in how you build an engagement center, how you talk about it, how you interact with guests. And I saw the power. I saw what it was like when you interacted with your fans, when you were there to answer questions. They had tens of thousands of people in the metropolitan area of Pittsburgh that were running, and we were answering questions. Where's bathrooms? Where's the first checkpoint? We were really on top of it. And we had all sorts of QAs. There was tons of training. I took all of that knowledge. But here was the number one problem of all of this. I had a team of two. How do you run a social media engagement center for a multi-million-dollar company and a multi-million-dollar brand like Wizarding World of Harry Potter when you have a team of two? And so, yes, I went and learned how to run an engagement center, but I still had a problem, which was a manpower problem. And we weren't hiring people overnight. A lot of people would like go grab an agency and pull them in. We didn't have that capability. And so the first thing I did was I went to Pittsburgh. The second thing I did was I built a strategy and a plan to get buy-in from leadership. But the third thing that I had to do was I had to recruit and train 25 people that worked at Universal that were not social media people to be in the stacks, responding and answering questions. And we did it. We built out FAQs. We built out trading documents. We built out the Adobe social platform. And when the time came, we had kind of the whole thing. We had screens on the wall. We had desks. We had people all over. I'll get some pictures, hopefully, and John and the team can kind of throw some up on screen for those that are watching this on YouTube. But we had the whole group. It looked cool. It was awesome. But I'm talking about the community management side of this, but it was so much more than just community management. We had planned live streams. We had content that we were creating live. And man, this is a whole other story, but 6 months before, we as a social media team could not go out into our theme parks, take a photo, and post it on LinkedIn without going to multiple lines of approval, not just internal. It had to go out to external partners because Universal has a lot of things that they don't own, a lot of partners that they don't own. And so we had to convince people to let us do this. We never were able to like go into Harry Potter. I can't say Harry Potter world, although everybody else says, go into the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, take a photo and post it. That couldn't happen. But on this day, it did. On this day, we had so much content that was flying out. We had sweepstakes. We were doing live giveaways. And so it was such a cool experience. One really cool moment that I want to take myself back to and share this with the audience. We had this screen, we're literally tracking in real time overall impressions. And at like 2 o'clock, we're like, impressions dipped. What can we do? Well, guess what we did? We literally brainstormed a giveaway and we executed a giveaway that wasn't in our plan. We had someone go out and then we literally saw impressions go up. And I'm like, this is the power of social. But this was all to us. This was just to us. Like yeah, we were building some credibility. Yeah, people were seeing. But what really mattered is when Chris brought Alice, our chief marketing officer, through the social media engagement center. And I got to walk her through everything that we're doing and show her what we were doing, show her how the impressions are working, show her how many comments are happening about this brand right now that wouldn't be happening if we're not in here activating, building fandom, building community. The chairman or the president of Universal Parks and Resorts at the time, Bill Davis, walked through the social media engagement center, multiple executives. And it was this moment that we brought it to life. It was this moment that social became real. And I don't know if there's another moment that I can point at and say, this is the moment that changed my career and the brand of Universal Parks more than this moment. And it worked. We created hundreds of pieces of content, dozens of giveaways, multiple live streams, thousands of comments and questions we had answered. And it was because of one single idea. How can we convince this brand to put social first, and that social is an opportunity to really empower this brand? And what if we did a social media engagement center during Diagon Alley? It was a stressful few days leading up to that moment. It was a relief when it was over. But I still have the deck. I'll try to find it and we'll have a screenshot of it. I don't want to share it because a lot of it's probably, proprietary to my past job. But this deck that I built went around this business for years. As we were building the case. When I left, we had 24 team members, and we had social content influencer. Our Twitter was off the chain, hilarious. Our Instagram was growing. Our YouTube channel had blown up. Like we were starting to work with influencers. We'd really done something special. And it's not, by the way, all Eric. Like there's a lot of people that came into that team and came after me. The team is still crushing it today. And what's funny is I saw them doing a bunch of stuff for Epic. That's why this is kind of top of mind, a little bit emotional. And Steven and the whole group, did such amazing thing. They had a bunch of live streams that Jimmy, my friend, kind of produced. And it was a really special moment. And I remember this slide that we had. God, what was the name of that platform? There was I can't think of it. There was a social analytics platform that got bought by someone, and honestly, it got ruined. But it had this like megaphone kind of graphic. That I really liked, and it talked about kind of what you did, all of the content you created, all the answers the questions you answered, what were the engagements, had 10,000 views or millions of, and then what was the overall impact? What was the overall impressions? How many people did you send to the site? How much search volume was up? And there's this really, really nice kind of like social megaphone graph that showed the business and showed the impact. And so we took this deck and, man, we shopped it around the business and sold what we were doing. And, man, what a fun time. What a cool story. And a couple takeaways that I just wanted to kind of, really talk about here. Big ideas can change your career and can change your brand. I know in the world of social, we do a lot of micro stuff, and we're trying to do a lot of quantity. But, man, you got to know when you need that big idea, especially when you're trying to make your brand understand the power of social. Creative solutions. Man, I had no team. I had to train 25 non-social people to be in the stacks listening and responding. I remember this like it was yesterday. And your brand is one big moment away from a giant change. One big moment away from a giant change. We're going to talk about some of this stuff in Content of the Week that I think are a few big moments. I think this McDonald's moment, not that McDonald's is small or struggling. They've been doing cool stuff for a while. But I imagine Amanda thinks that was, a moment in time, and it was for that whole team. So congratulations to all of my friends at Universal who opened Epic Universe. I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed this walk down memory lane and learned a little bit of something as we went through real life tales, on to content of the week. All right, welcome into content of the week. I know that this is your favorite segment, and that's why we put it at the end, because we're content strategists. We want to make you watch all the way through. But today is exciting, just like all episodes of content of the week. Quick little plug. If you have not signed up for our newsletter, we do weekly newsletters for content of the week. Every Friday, it comes out into your inbox. We also post it on LinkedIn, so you can get more of this content. This is not exactly what we do. We do a little bit here, but there's a lot more that we do. We literally do research on the best branded content that exists out there in the world, and we bring it right into your inbox. So make sure you're signing up. Go to maverickcontentstudio.com. Man, this sounds really promo, but it's good. It's good content. So we want you to make sure that we're helping you in your everyday job so you can go out and crush it. And so that's the little PSA for content of the week. All right. So first, we're going to start with Expedia. We got to start pulling in logos, John, like Expedia. Expedia did something cool on their YouTube. And, I love some short form. We talked a lot about social today, but man, I love some long form. As a podcaster, as a creator, as a former radio guy, I love people that create original content. But matter of fact, probably my first love in the world of branded content was actually YouTube. And so I love a brand that's doing something different. I think I mentioned on an episode a few weeks ago, I talked about how, man, if I could just get a hold of the Travelocity YouTube channel and turn them into a travel and tourism kind of media company. Well, they are doing it. Expedia owns Travelocity, and they're doing it through Expedia. Still think you could do it through something different through Travelocity, but man, they're really doing some great stuff through Expedia's YouTube channel. So go check it out, subscribe. But they have one specific show that they're starting to work on, and it's called Next Turn. And I love it because it is an original idea. It feels very YouTube forward. It feels very much something like you might see on a travel network, except made for digital. So they got a host, and this host kind of knows kind of mainly what they're doing. They're going to Panama, but everything that she does, she doesn't really know what's happening, and so that's kind of the Next Turn idea. So they kind of surprise her, like, hey, now you're going rock climbing, or now you're going to do this, and now you're going to do this. So very kind of challenge and gamification, which keeps you kind of engaged. So I love the concept. I love that it's got a kind of a YouTube frame. Check it out. It's got a great hook to start. So they're thinking about, what does the hook need to look like for long form content? How are we teasing you out so you want to watch and you want to follow? One of my actually favorite travel things right now is Bucket List from Dude Perfect. So it kind of gives a little bit of a vibe for that, because my kids pull me into the Dude Perfect world. The other thing I just say is, I love content that does something. Like, there's a reason that we're creating this content. And so it does what they're wanting to do, which is inspire you to travel. And so in this video, while there's an interesting concept and an entertaining host, they're taking you through the history, they're taking you through the food and kind of the culture, and they're taking you through activities. And so they're taking you on this little journey that really keeps you. And as someone that did a lot of travel and tourism content back in the day, you can really feel the content strategy, so there's a reason why they're doing it. I don't usually give critiques for content of the week. So is that okay, Britt? Can I do a little critique for my friends at Expedia? It's small. I love this. I think you could have leaned more into the surprise of the twists. Because when you did it, she said, like, I don't know what I'm doing. But then when she transitioned, she didn't seem shocked. She seemed like she did know what she was doing. And so it kind of left me feeling like you didn't pay it off as much. And maybe as they got into other episodes, I've only watched a couple, maybe they started to do this. But like, when I think of like the challenge content today, like, I feel like there needs to be a little shock in what the twist is. And she's got, and by the way, the twist has to be a twist. It has to be something that's a little bit shocking. Like, yeah, I get, let's take her to a diner for her to eat something, but can we have her eat something that maybe is like a little shocking? Like, maybe she doesn't want to eat, maybe that would gross her out, right? Like, something that gives you a little bit of a twist. So Expedia, great job. I'm giving some tips there. You don't have to take them. You're doing awesome stuff. So keep going. Love the long form storytelling that Expedia is doing with travel content. All right. The next one is one, I'm going to do it quick because I shout these people out too much. It's Chick-fil-A. My team knows I eat lots of Chick-fil-A. I'm a big fan. Love the holiday story they do. So they launched a media side of their business a couple years ago, and they're doing original content. And they did a new animated, not short, long form, kind of 8 to 10 minute video for YouTube. And it's kind of like it's about the cows. So the cows are kind of some of their mascot, and the cows are on this like Mission Impossible kind of experience. And it's really entertaining, really funny. It's obviously made for like parents and kids to enjoy together. So if you go in as like if Marvel goes in today, he's gonna probably hate it. But in 15 years, when Marvel's got like 4 kids, I'm manifesting that on you. And he's at Chick-fil-A, he will enjoy it because his kids will enjoy it. But it'll probably be looking through like goggles, or it'll all be created through AI. So who knows what that world looks like. But really, really cool, really, really awesome. And Chick-fil-A continues to push the boundaries of what branded content can look like. So if you're a brand that's out there, it's like, we couldn't do this. And it's like, at the end of the day, they are, I still say at the end of the day a lot. And I'm just going to lean into it. I'm just going to own it, John, at this point. At the end of the day, yeah, John said we're going to get some shirts to just say at the end of the day, dash Eric. It's the worst quote of all time. But at the end of the day, they're a freaking fast food restaurant. But they've created such brand love and such brand connection and such relationship with their customer that they know that's what they're selling. They're selling the feel good. Coca-Cola back in the day, we're selling happiness. That is what they're selling. They're also selling a really great spicy chicken sandwich, just for the record. So the last one is a doozy. And a lot of times we like to bring in here big brands, things that big brands are doing. And that's not this one, but I promise you, stay with me. This is a one that kind of broke the internet in a small way. So if you're not familiar with McCallie School, I'm reading their Instagram right now. It says McCallie is an all-boys college prep boarding and day school for grades 6 through 12 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. First off, I know this is going to sound strange. I promise, just stay with me. Go to their Instagram account and watch it. I've seen some private school Instagram accounts, and they got like 1,000 followers, and it's just the parents that want to know when the volleyball game is. That is not this account. I don't know who they have making for this. I don't know who they have shooting for this. I don't know who they have editing for this. But they've got like a little digital creator savant that is creating content for an all-boys prep school, because they got some stuff that's really, really good. First off, they've got 15,000 followers for a small school in Chattanooga, freaking Tennessee. And on top of that, they are averaging, on a lot of their reels, like 15,000, 16,000 views. But this one was different. Now you're asking, why are we talking about this? So a week or so ago, I saw this video come across my newsfeed, and actually it was SportsCenter that found it and shared it. So this hit the mainstream media and kind of went everywhere. They did a video where they asked 6th graders, so 6 years ago, to answer some questions, sit down. They shot it really cool, very kind of, they walked in, off frame. They sat down, they're mic'd up, kind of a good bokeh blur background. And they asked these kids some questions. Kids answering questions is just funny. And they juxtaposed that with all of these kids now are graduating this year. They're seniors. And they went and got all these kids. They set them down. They asked them the same questions. And they put these things side by side and created such a cool little fun. Again, I'm a sucker. I'm a parent. I got an 11 and a 9-year-old. And so some of their videos have like 18,000 views, 26,000 views. These are great numbers. This video has 1.3 million views on a little tiny prep school's Instagram account. So if you're telling me you can't create entertaining content, then we have a problem. You've hired wrong. You don't have the right leadership. You don't have the right permission. I don't know what it is. But if they can create really entertaining content, then anybody can. The thing I'd say about this one, though, that I think separates this, there's a lot of copycats in the world of content, right? Nothing is new, nothing is original, and I get it. We're all trying to take our bite of some views or some attention. But I've said this before, and I've heard other people talk about this idea of yeah, we can ride that trend. Let's do that. That'll be good. It'll get us some views. It'll work, and that's fine. That's a way to engage and to do things kind of different and be relevant. But when you can do something original, really, really original, that you own as a brand, it's a game changer. And what they did was they created a new format. And I'm not saying this has never been done before, but the way that they did it was so unique, so original. I guarantee you right now, there are people that are copying this. There are schools, there are brands that are going to copy this. And there's nothing better than a pat on the back of people that are copying what you're doing. And so McCallie School, I don't know if you'll ever make it back into Content of the Week. I don't know. You're doing some pretty cool stuff. But kudos. 1.3 million views on a video for a small prep school. That's awesome. And that's what Content of the Week is for. All right, everybody. That is it. That is episode 24. Episode 24 is in the books. Super exciting. I hope that you enjoyed it. The goal of this podcast is to inspire big brand content and social professionals to go back into their business and be able to build brands that connect with people, entertain, and build raving fans. That's literally why we do this. So we do all of this. I have one small ask of you. Share it with a friend, add a review, subscribe. One of those three things is going to help this get to more people, and hopefully we can help more people. This is what we're passionate about. Literally, this is what we talk about all the time. How can we help brands entertain, connect, and build raving fans? It's our mission. It's our purpose. It's what we're here for, and we need you to help us along that journey. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. We love this, and we loved you, and now I'm getting emotional and sappy. That's the end of Radical Content. We'll see everybody.